Before we look at the future of your desk, we need to remember where we started. In our last episode, The Ghost in the Machine, we peeled back the casing of the AI black box. We explored how we have moved from the coding recipes to building neural networks, systems that make the 0.042 calculations that even their creators cannot fully explain. We met Elias, our architect, who saw a dark vision of 2040 where he was deemed inefficient by a machine that did not know his name. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet, I strongly suggest that you pause right here and go back. Understanding the how of the black box is essential for understanding the what of today's conversation. Go ahead and I'll wait. Welcome to the second episode of The Horizon Shift. I am your host, Avishek Roy. Today, we are looking at the desk. We are asking the question that keeps millions of people up at night. In a world of perfect 0.042 calculations, what is left for us humans to do? Close your eyes. Imagine the year 1779. The air is thick with the smell of raw wool and oil. In a small cottage in England, a man named Ned Ludd supposedly smashed two knitting frames in a fit of rage. He was a weaver. He didn't just hate the machines, he saw them coming for his dignity, his livelihood, and his family's dinner table. Whether Ned Ludd really existed is still a mystery, but the movement that he inspired, the Luddites, is a very real thing. They were the very first ones to ask what happens when the machine does it better. Fast forward today, we don't smash keyboards. Well, at least not usually. Instead, we vent our AI anxiety in our LinkedIn posts and Slack channels. We see tools like ChatGPT or specialized coding agents like Copilot that can outright and outcode us within seconds. And we start wondering, is my resume the last one that I'll ever need to write? Hans Moravec. He was a robotic researcher. He noticed something very strange in the 1980s. He realized that for an AI, the high level reasoning, which is the stuff that humans find very hard, for example, playing world class chess, that is incredibly easy for the computer. But low level sensory motor skills, the stuff that we find really easy, even kids can do, like walking through a crowded room or knowing not to step on a cat, these are incredibly hard tasks for AI. That is why your accountant might be more worried than your plumber. AI can balance a ledger in seconds. It can predict market fluctuations with 99% accuracy. But it still cannot figure out how to navigate a cramped, dark crawl space to find a hairline fracture in a leaky pipe. You know what? We have spent decades thinking that robots would take all the blue collar jobs first. Moravec tells us that we had it all backward. So, if the plumbers are safe, then who are really in the crosshairs? Well, it is the information middlemen. These are the roles which purely exist to translate, summarize, or move data. We'll go through a couple of examples just to make things clear. Take a junior lawyer at a massive firm. For decades, their rite of passage was document review. Spending 80 hours a week in a windowless room, reading thousands and thousands of pages just to find one specific clause. Today, an AI can do it in 6 seconds. The grunt work that used to justify that person's $200,000 starting salary is evaporating. Let's take a second example. Consider the world of software development. We earlier used to need armies of junior coders to write the boilerplate code, basically the basic scaffolding of an application. Now the AI writes the scaffolding while the developer drinks their morning coffee. So I spoke to a project manager recently. Let's call him David. David used to spend half of his day in meetings just relaying information from the developers to the executives. He suddenly realized that a customized AI agent was now doing that automatically, summarizing the day's code updates into a neat executive report. Now, David, fortunately, was not fired, but his job description has suddenly evaporated. He had to ask himself, if I am not a messenger, then what am I really? This is the efficiency trap. When the cost of a task goes to zero, the value of the result also drops. If everyone can generate a 50-page business plan in 1 minute, the plan itself becomes worthless. The only thing that remains and stays valuable is the intent, which is the why behind the work. As we move further into this shift, we are entering the empathy economy. This is the space where the 0.042 calculations of the neural networks will fail because they lack context and they lack care. Take an example of a financial advisor. Sure, an AI can pick stocks better than any human by looking into past data, going through a lot of analysis and so on within seconds, probably. But an AI cannot sit down with a couple and help them navigate through their emotional complexity of inheritance or paralyzing fear of a market crash. The AI provides the math, definitely. The human provides the meaning. We also see the same instance in healthcare as well. So, we are developing AI that can detect skin cancer with 99% accuracy. It's far higher than most general practitioners out there. But would you really want to receive the diagnosis from a text message? No. You want a doctor who understands your history, your family, and your fears. We are moving from a world where we paid for labor to a world where we pay for presence. Remember Elias, our architect? In the dark version of his story, he was replaced by an efficiency engine. But in this version that we are building, Elias's value isn't in drawing the walls. The AI does that. But his value lies in sitting with the client and realizing that they don't just want a house, they want a space that feels like the home they grew up in. That feeling isn't in the training data, it is in the room between two human beings. Having said all of that, this transition won't be easy. There will be displacement. We need to rethink everything from how we train our children to how we support those whose industries are compressed overnight. But the last resume isn't a sign of the end. It is a sign that we are being forced to stop acting like machines ourselves. For a century, we turned human into cogs. AI is simply doing the opposite. It's taking the cog work back. Next time in the Horizon Shift, we will be following the money. We are going to look at the AI bubble. How do you spot a company that's building a future versus one that is just burning through its venture capital? I am Abhishek Roy. If you enjoyed this journey, please subscribe on your favorite platform and share this episode with your friends, family, and maybe that one colleague who is really worried about the desk. It's how we keep the horizon on sight. Don't fear the machine, learn to drive it. See you on the horizon.